and welcome to today's episode of the Daily Blend. I'm your host, AC, and we are joined in studio today by Beth Orns, who is the owner and therapist at Better Together Mental Health. How are you, Beth?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. It's 2026.
I am still in denial.
I do understand.
Be the new year already.
I do understand.
Although I'm kind of ready for 2025 to be over as well.
Are you?
I think a lot of people are. I hear that really consistently among people in the community and clients that 2025 was a rough year for people and they're ready to
start
get a fresh start. Yeah, they're ready to move on.
So, okay. So in that vein, ready to move on.
Yeah.
First day of 2026.
Yeah.
What do you tell people about this whole New Year's resolution thing?
Oh, gosh. Resolutions are pointless. For a long time, my birthday is in early January. So I always claim that, from New Year's to my birthday was like a practice period for resolutions, because that's really about how long they last, right? And the reason they don't work is they're way too big and they're way too vague. I'm going to be healthier. What does that mean, right?
Don't know.
That's why people bum rush the gyms and they suddenly decide they're going to do some really, really intense diet and cook and do all these weird things. And that's just not sustainable, right? Resolutions aren't sustainable. That's their biggest issue, right? They're too big and they're not sustainable. So what is more sustainable is to make one change, to make a decision to focus on one thing and to make one small change at a time, right? And build on those habits so that you can eventually get to where you want to be. Being healthy isn't a bad goal, right? Healthier is a great goal. But it's not going to get you there to suddenly claim you're going to work out 10 times a week and only eat green vegetables. That's not going to get you to your goal ever. So what I've started doing a few years back, and I encourage my clients and the people I know to try, is to look at a word, to choose a word for your new year versus making some big crazy resolution. And so I usually just kind of sit and for a week or two before the new year starts, and even as the new year begins, because there's no rule that January 1st is when a resolution is created, or, we can start anew at any point in the year. We can say, this is my new year. This is when I'm starting fresh. Join me, right?
And thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Because who said?
January's a rough month. It's dark. It's cold. It's not a year where we're ready to go running, right? It can get to be spring and you suddenly decide you're ready to run a marathon. Great. Go run. By all means, run. But choosing something that you're going to set as an intention, that you're going to kind of keep at top of mind and filter your decisions through, is really, really helpful. So I wore this bracelet. It says simplify. One year, that was my word. And so when I was thinking about whether to do something or not, when I was thinking about how I was going to deal with the various parts of life, that was what I filtered through. Is this the simplest way to do this? Am I making this thing, idea, whatever it is, way more complicated than it needs to be? Or am I actually thinking about what is possible? And am I thinking about what can I do to make this as easy as I can make it? Especially as a business owner, right? We can make things really complicated, or we can say, okay, what's the simplest way to get this task from A to B? And how can I remove as much stuff in my way? Mm-hmm. And it's how I've approached my business is how I try to approach my life. Because in the past, I used to make everything really complicated. Right? Go way out of my way to make things big and bad and amazing. And the reality is that doesn't get me anywhere other than angry and frustrated and exhausted. Yeah. Right? So if I can simplify and try to think of how do I make this as easy as I can, what are the things I can let go of in this situation, I'm going to be more successful. So I really am a fan of when you choose your word, putting that word around you in as many ways and places as possible. So I like bracelets because they're great to fidget with and they're right there in front of my face all the time, right?
Yes.
So I tend to put my word on a bracelet Or I have a bracelet that is Morse code for grace, because that was one of my words, was grace. Giving myself grace, giving grace to others, all of those kinds of things. So I usually will choose some way to wear it or have it in my line of sight on a regular basis. I will, use it as a password for silly things that don't matter. I mean, obviously you're not going to use your word as your password for your bank account.
Don't.
That's a bad idea, people. I don't want to be responsible for any of that.
No.
But you can do it for, simple things that you want to so you type it over and over and over again. So you say it over and over again. You put it as a Post-it note on your computer. You put it as your wallpaper on your computer or your screensaver on your phone. Just put that word in front of you all the time so that when you're making your decisions, you're remembering that intention that you set for yourself, whatever that might be. Your intention might be to be intentional. And that's okay.
And that can be your word.
That can be it. 100% that can be your word.
How do you choose it? Do you find a word that resonates with you and what you want for your year?
Usually for me, I tend to just kind of look at a list, or I may even, this is a list I created just to give you a place to start and jump off of. But, I've just looked at words. Yeah. And eventually something just kind of starts to keep coming back up again. The more I let that, I use the word I marinate it. I just let it kind of sit and roll around in my brain and just kind of be around me and calmly just let it be. Okay. And then eventually a word will kind of come forward.
That makes sense.
And you may not know it on January 1st, but as the year goes on, you're like, this just keeps coming up for me. Persistence keeps coming up. Maybe that should be my word. Patience keeps coming up. Maybe that should be what I'm going for this year.
I like that. And I love that you've given us permission that it doesn't have to be on January 1.
Nope.
That we can take our time and marinate. And figure out what that is.
And if you can't figure it out, come reach out to a professional.
Yes.
I'm happy to help you figure it out.
Beth,
give me a call. I'll help you figure it out.
Thank you so much for being
Anytime.
here. Happy New Year.
You too.